now that we have voice, Dan, would you mind calling for call us to order, and then the approval of the minutes, if you wouldn't mind calling for that vote?
Sure. Let the meeting come to order. And do you guys usually read the minutes, or just have you sent them out?
Yep. So Courtney had sent the minutes. They are also available in the chat box for both July and April's minutes, if folks want to kind of click through and check those out. But Courtney, we did send those out ahead of time, right, to everybody, so the members did get a chance to look at those.
Yep, they are included in the invitations for this month.
Okay, sorry.
No worries. They come in a variety of different methods, and those of you who have been with me for a while are used to paper packets that we all just used to mail. So there's a multiple way of that you may or may not have gotten the minutes, but they're there for perusal. Folks have had opportunity to review those, and I guess before there's any vote on it, I would be happy to, or Courtney would be happy to answer any questions that folks have on those minutes.
Sure. And does anyone need any time to review them now? Are there any questions about the minutes? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote on approval of the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes to approve the minutes. Thanks.
Dan, you did that like a professional, like you've done that before. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you so much. Okay, and so I believe next on our agenda is our county updates, and we just like to open this up to anybody here on the call that would like to talk about any of the cool stuff that you've got going on that help older adults in your communities in each or any of the counties. And so as we're a smaller group, I don't think we have to be completely formal with that. So if anybody would like to pipe up and let us know, that would be great.
Well, I was just wondering what was happening with the senior centers in Stark County. So I started poking around a little bit, and some of them are being very active. Like Minerva is fully up and running. They're just having a new director. I think they had a party for the retiring director, but they're very active. They have a late afternoon meal every weekday. They have, the traditional things, games and bus trips and all that. Some of the others I really had trouble finding information about on the web. There's a variety of systems and services they use. So that's something I'm going to try to pursue a little more, just to inform myself and maybe make contact with some of them. And how are they funded? Does anybody know how the senior centers are funded? Is that through area agency or?
That's a really good question. So the senior centers are funded kind of as a catch-as-catch-can system. And so there's no kind of official funding designated for senior centers from federal or state government. And so some local municipalities will have funding that will go towards a senior center. That's the case in Portage County. Portage County has some funding that goes towards the senior center that's based in Ravenna with Family and Community Services. The senior center that you mentioned that has a meal is funded through the Area Agency on Aging Congregate Meal Program. We do a lot of meal program support, funding and support for senior centers. We also do a lot of linkages for information with senior centers. Any of the centers that would come to us and want information on any of the older adult services in their area, we make sure that we make ourselves available to that. Area agencies on aging have, over the years, as the older adult population grows and the funding pots shrink, have had to make some tough decisions on prioritization of funding and supports. And so our area agency, along with the majority of our counterparts across the nation, have moved more towards the bottom of the hierarchy of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so where we really would love to get to self-actualization. Sometimes you have to worry about feeding people first. And so we really have moved towards the bottom of that period to make sure that people are being cared for as best as possible. And so where we've had to make tough allocation decisions, and I will say those allocation decisions definitely have been commented on and brought up in this forum at Areawide as part of the role of older adults and advocates on the call. But overall, we sadly have had to kind of winnow back supports to that kind of bottom of that's the best way I can describe it, is the more food, shelter, housing supports we have now. Hopefully but that is to say that I just submitted about an hour ago a request for additional funds for more congregate meal dollars, and those would go to senior centers in the area as well, should they be able to use those. And those are designed specifically to get them back up and running. There are a lot of senior centers that once the lockdown orders went into effect, shut their doors and haven't been able to reopen yet. And so whether it's, a really deep clean or some rearranging of walls or whatever it is that folks would need to reopen, we're trying to find additional funding to get those sites up and running.
Thank you. Yeah, so it's like local governments, maybe grants, maybe fundraisers, catch can, whatever can keep the doors open. And probably wealthier communities are more capable of sustaining that, although there may be some needs-based grants. Something I want to explore a little more. Thank you, though.
Definitely. And Dan, if you'd like to set up a time, I'd be happy to meet with you with some other folks from the area agency, and we can kind of talk through the past, the present, and the hopeful future of senior centers in the area. There's a lot of cool things going on too, not just in Stark County, but things in our 4-county region that we can leverage in some different ways that senior centers are evolving into multi-use, multi-generational centers. Like in Barberton, there's the Active Adult Center that kind of knows no age, and so it's just kind of there for everybody. And I think that the senior centers that were just kind of a place to get coffee and bingo are kind of slowly evolving into other spaces, and so it's interesting. It's an interesting time for them, I think.
Thanks.
My pleasure. Lisa, I see your hand up. Hello, my friend. Thanks for joining.
I'm so technically savvy. I raised my hand. No, I'm so over Zoom. So that's why I can do it. So just wanted to start singing the song of the Senior Summit because there is a plan. It's coming together, very, very sketch right now, but it's coming. So mark your calendars for May 13th and 14th. We will be doing an expo, hopefully the way we want to. Hopefully all things are lovely in May, and we can go forward with that. We have reserved and right now are holding, this is breaking news, Firestone CLC again, where we held our original expo. But the steering partners got together and I surveyed them, and that came out pretty close to the top. There were 2, Ellett CLC and Firestone. And because we were familiar with that, the committee decided to go forward. So they're holding that for us. I'm still trying to get a hold of St. George's to see if we're going to do the conference there. Right now, I had a fantastic meeting with Lori Smith from Direction Home and John from the Akron Bar Association to work on CEUs and CLEs. We are taking right now suggestions to take to the committee for what CEUs you'd like to see presented. We will, of course, have some kind of update and session. We may be bringing Gil back that Direction Home had in for their fall conference because he's so amazing. We may be bringing him back for that, but we'll definitely have an update on livable communities as part of our senior summit this year. Remember, because it is a Friday for professionals and with CEUs and CLEs, there's also a Saturday component. So if what you present through your agency isn't necessarily just for the professionals. If it has a component that's also for the public, you can give, we'll have speeches there. We'll have sessions for the public as well. So May 13th and 14th, mark your calendars. If you've never been a part and you're just dying to help us put it together, we will not say no to any help. I have a fantastic core team, but there's never too many hands for this one. And we will definitely need volunteers and people for the expo. So watch for information. I'm going to stick my email in the chat in case I get pulled away, but please feel free to reach out anytime. And we're really excited about the Senior Summit and coming back, and maybe being all in person. We're hoping to at least do hybrid for the conference. So if your agency still says no to in-person conferences, we will have the capability through the Akron Bar Association to do those sessions through I think it's Zoom, one of those things. Happy to answer any questions too, Matt, if you have any.
Thank you, Lisa. We are very excited, and your ears were probably burning even yesterday as Barb and several of us have talked about how we can align and plan to augment the Senior Summit with some of the other cool stuff that we have cooking.
Oh, good. I love that. I'm so excited.
There is a tremendous, I will say, there is a tremendous synergy in the county that I have not felt in a long time. It is a fantastic kind of swell that is just everybody working together. Partnerships are like solidifying and cross-pollination is going on. It's a fantastic time. And so I hope to kind of bottle that, and then we'll be able to kind of spread that around to the other counties as well, because it's just fantastic. So Lisa, thank you for all that you're doing to make that happen. I think hybrid is a definite plus. The Ohio Association of Area Agencies on Aging did a hybrid model for their conference. And I have to say that as someone who has the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which I feel like is vaccine light or diet vaccine, I'm not really ready to be in a room full of 250 of my closest friends yet. So I like that the hybrid model is there. Plus, you know, that's what, 7 months away. And so who knows what we'll be looking like from then. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And I can't wait to hear more about it. Anyone else that would like to comment on kind of cool stuff that's going on in their area?
Matt, hi, it's Jeannie.
Hi, Jeannie. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I had some knee surgery a month ago, but I'm doing well.
Good.
So I'm on a crusade, as won't surprise you, of distributing your brochures. I've recruited a number of people to go to areas where we know a lot of seniors live, like the senior citizens condominium associations and so forth, and distribute your brochures about all the information and the things that Direction Home does. Surprisingly, many people don't know. And, you know, I was approaching this from the faith community, also going to churches and so forth. That kind of fell by the wayside because of COVID, but it's my intention to drive through that very soon, as soon as I feel safe enough, and as soon as I think that there's enough seniors that are back into the churches so that they can learn about your services too. And Lisa, I want to thank you for everything that you do in Summit County. I feel like, you know, I'm the president, but you know what's going on in Summit County, and I really appreciate your input and your help a lot.
Thank you.
I think that is what was just said between Jeannie as our president and Lisa as a professional working to make older adult lives better in the county is exactly why our Areawide is structured the way it is. We have bylaws that we're going to be sending out to make sure everybody kind of knows what it is you've signed up for and to review after this meeting. And, you know, one of the things that we say is, we are designed to be 50% older adult advocates and 50% professionals in the business. And so with both of those sides represented, we really feel like we get the very best advice and advisory capacities from everybody. So thank you very much, Jeannie. And I will say that I've seen Jeannie's missionary style in action, and it's just fantastic. You've been such a vocal advocate for us I can't thank you enough. And if folks would like to join the crusade, Courtney would be happy to get you packets of brochures to hand out at your local places of worship, your local hairdresser. We are
absolutely.
We're a non-denominational kind of shop, so we'd be happy to see those anywhere. So just let us know if you have an interest in that.
Thank you. And we know that the senior ladies do go to their hairdresser. So
yeah. I miss my hairdresser. I don't know about me. I miss mine.
You and my husband.
Right. Thank you very much. I didn't think I heard anybody else, but I'm gonna move us along because I want to get to Sarah. I'm very excited about Sarah. So Courtney, if you could advance, and I'm just going to take a real brief moment to tell you a little bit about what's going on in the world of advocacy. This comes directly to us from our partners at the Ohio Association of Area Agencies on Aging. This is their advocacy update from last month. HCBS at the federal is home and community-based services. And that is an umbrella term for all of the services that you hear us talk about that keep older adults and people with disabilities in their home as successful as possible. That's everything from adult daycare centers to home delivered meals, home health aides, the whole network or menu of services that we leverage to keep people in the community. There is legislation now to make that more broadly available. And what that looks like, we're not really sure. How that's funded, we're not really sure, but we are for it because we know that there is not enough options right now for folks. As it relates to our state budget, just a few updates there. Or our state advocacy. I can't seem to get there we go. The rules that are going through processes really deal with the rates to providers increase that we saw in the budget. Unfortunately, that was vetoed by the governor, not because he didn't believe in it, but because he wanted to try to keep the rate increase for home health aides and others that provide those services out of statute. Our position was, well, the nursing home rates are in statute. Why not the home care rates? But we have lost that battle again, but we will keep fighting that because we feel like rates are rates, and home community-based services are a very popular, successful, and cost-effective way to help older adults, and we will keep fighting for that. We are happy to say that the rate increases are going up. We anticipate seeing that finalized either late next week, early week after in November, so that the rates will increase and we'll be able to get more direct care workers. As all of you probably know, we are in the midst of a great resignation where it's just really hard to find people to fill open jobs. That was a problem with home health care before the pandemic. And so the pandemic has just made things much worse as far as trying to get staff of the aides that go into the home and help with those activities of daily living. To give you a little bit of context there, we have about 450 people on our care coordination program. That's the non-Medicaid program that provides in-home care. 25% of those cases cannot be staffed because of a lack of, not a lack of money, but a lack of aides to go and provide the work or to provide the service. So it's a huge issue that we face. It's not just our region. It's not just our state. This is a national crisis that we continue to address. And so we're very happy that this increase went through. We will keep fighting for additional increases and more ways to keep the provider network strong. The other bullet is the EFMAP I won't bore you, but the EFMAP really is about the emergency funding that the states have gotten to help rebalance their Medicaid spend. And so Medicaid is a federal and state program that comes together to fund our Medicaid program, depending upon how the FMAP works. And I don't know what it stands for, but I can get you that information. Will depend upon the percentages of how much the state pays, how much the feds pay. And so we are continuing to work on how that impacts local or home and community-based services and how we might be able to increase access. The legislature in Ohio is reconvened, and redistricting is their main focus. And then finally, in local news, and Dan, I think that actually, you know what, Courtney, if I don't have a pen and paper, but if you could remind me to see if we can't get on Dan's calendar, we should probably loop him into the cool stuff that's going on in North Canton right now. We have had some tremendous partnership meetings with the North Canton Library. Libraries have become we're like, it's like the new happening partnership. It's like peanut butter and chocolate, or, you know, between area agencies and libraries. We started with Summit County, now moving to North Canton, and they're very interested in a age-friendly movement. So more to come on that. We also have some groups in the county outside of area agencies that are pushing the age-friendly Stark County initiative forward. So more to come on that. I'll pause here. I went pretty quickly through that, but like I said, I want to leave time for the meat of our meeting, which is Sarah. So any questions on the advocacy update? All right, hearing none, I will turn it over to Courtney for a brief kind of update on a couple of things that we need your help with, and then we'll move to Sarah.
All right, I won't take up too much of your time. There are just two things that I wanted to bring to your attention. You've probably seen the majority of them in my never-ending stream of emails that I've been sending out for the past month or so. First, I wanted to quickly go over member recruitment, and I know that we do have a few new faces on the call. So to those who this is your first time joining, thank you for jumping on and taking the time out of your day and your interest in our area-wide advocacy council. We are recruiting members. Specifically, we need council members age 60 plus from Portage, Stark, Summit, and Wayne, especially in Wayne County. We also really need professionals and a vice president for Wayne County. So if you have anyone in mind that, or for any of the counties really, of people who would be interested in serving as an advisor to Direction Home and to Direction Home's board, whether that be for funding allocations or our programming, anything going on in the community, or advocating for older adults for legislative and budgetary needs, please feel free to pass on our information and invite them to a meeting just to get them in the door and kind of see what the council is all about. Members do need to attend 2 out of our 4 quarterly meetings, and they either need to be 60 years of age or some sort of senior or healthcare professional. And as far as nominations are concerned, council nominations take place in January. So anyone that is interested in becoming an official member, they can come in on January for our council nominations. The nomination is made by council members to the nomination committee, and then that committee will present the nomination to the council at the January meeting for approval. The second thing that I wanted to touch on are our Hall of Fame nominations. So we have 2 Hall of Fames, I guess is the word to use there, that are open right now accepting nominations for this year. So we have the Senior Citizen Hall of Fame and the Home Health Aide Hall of Fame. And those are open for any outstanding senior citizens or home health aides that you know, that any of your contacts know. Feel free to go ahead and pass this information to them as well. Let them know that nominations are open until November 5th. The original deadline was November 1st, but I'm going to open that up through next week. We are desperately needing a senior citizen nomination for Portage County. And then we are always open to nominations for any counties for either Hall of Fame, but home health aide for Portage, Summit, and Wayne are needed as well. And all of that information has been in our reminder emails and our invitation emails for this meeting. And it is also on our website. It's on our social media. And I think even Barb has been so kind to distribute at the libraries, or several people on the call have been distributing to their networks as well. So that's always appreciated. But you can contact me for any questions or comments for either of these things. I'll put my information in the chat again, and I'll turn it over to Sarah.
Great.
Thanks, Courtney. Well, I'm happy to be here with you all today. Matt invited me to, I think, give a quick update on where we are with the Summit County age-friendly planning process. And we've got a few parts of the plan, the vision and some goals. Would love to just test with you all and get your feedback, and then gather some additional ideas about how we can make the whole region more age-friendly. It sounds like you all are doing a lot of great things out there. So anxious to hear from you. So I'm going to use a smart live polling or smartphone polling software. So if you have a tablet or your smartphone nearby, we're going to be using that here in a second. And if not, if you want to open up a web browser on your computer, you can do it that way too. But this really is easily done on your phone or tablet. So Matt, I don't know, do you want me to give a quick update about where we are in the planning process or jump right into the input gathering?
Yeah, I think that tooting our horn is probably well worth the time. We the age-friendly Summit County advisory group, as led by Planning Next, have gotten some really amazing work done, and I feel like a short amount of time. And that's what folks will be commenting on right now is as we kind of whittle our way down to it's kind of like panning for gold. And so like I feel like we found the nuggets now. We just want to make sure that it looks like gold to you too. And then that's kind of what today is.
Yeah. Okay. So we've been, as Matt said, we were brought on board back in the spring to help with the Summit County age-friendly planning process. The age-friendly community program through AARP has a specific kind of process that you follow. You do needs assessment, you do in the first year, you do a strategic plan the second year, and then you implement, evaluate, and sort of start over. And so we worked a number of years ago now on the City of Columbus age-friendly plan. And they just completed their 5-year report, which is pretty impressive what they've been able to get done in the past 5 years. And so we've been working with Matt and Susan Sigmund and Helen Humphreys with support from Colleen Kelly with the county to really, work through this, facilitate this planning process for the county. And so Matt mentioned there's a core advisory committee, the CAC, we call them. And they were initially, people were identified as sort of domain leaders. If you're familiar with the age-friendly movement, there's 8 different domains of livability that the plan needs to focus on. It helps make sure you're looking holistically at the community when you're creating strategies and goals. And so we took those 8 folks and we asked them to bring some friends to the party. And so we put together what we're calling the working group. And so each of those folks brought in, between 6 and 8 additional folks to work on those domains with them. And we've been working with that group throughout the summer. We have their last meeting in a couple weeks. And we've developed draft vision, draft goals. We've developed draft strategies. And then this whole past month through October, we've been testing everything with the public. We've been doing a public engagement round. And we've had an online survey on the website, agefriendlysummit.com. And we've also had an on the table kind of meeting in a box opportunity for folks to download or pick up at a library and conduct maybe small group engagement. We've done 2 virtual workshops as well, using Zoom. We've had maybe about 20 or 25 folks join us through that. And we've reached over 200 people on the online survey. So we're coming to the end of our online engagement. We're going to close that out on Monday and start processing all the input. But we've been sort of testing and validating our vision and the goals, and testing some strategies and getting additional ideas from the community and service providers for how Summit County can be more age-friendly in the future. So with that, I'll stop there. If there's any questions, let me know. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. And then, as I said, if you've got your smartphone, please grab that, because this is kind of a fun platform in which you can get information from folks in a quick way. So if you've got your smartphone or your tablet or on your browser, you can go to www.minty.com. It's up here at the top of the screen. So just open a new web browser and go to that website, and then it'll prompt you for a code. The code is here on the screen as well, 6003-3354. And it'll stay up there as we advance the slides. So I'm going to give everybody just a second to get connected. And while we're doing that, I'm going to read this vision statement. So we worked with the CAC group to gather sentiments, keywords, ideas for a vision for the future of Summit County as it relates to age-friendly and be more livable. And so we've drafted up something and we've been testing it with folks, like I said, in this past month. So the vision that we're working with right now, the draft vision, is Summit County is a place for all age groups and abilities. It's a place where everyone, especially older adults, is empowered to live life fully and be active participants within their community. And in a second, I'll let you kind of read over that again. I'm going to ask a question. It should pop up. It'll advance on your phone and it'll allow you to tell me whether that resonates with you or not. If you think that's a good, a good place to be in the future. So I'm going to go ahead and advance it now. And you should be able to, on your phone, be able to tell me whether that resonates with you. Great, looks like we're getting, and then when I advance it again in a second here, I'll give everyone a chance to find their way. It'll allow you to provide any questions or comments, or maybe there's something you think's missing or something you want to say about the vision or you think can make it better. We'll capture that here in a second as well. Okay, looks like we have about 9 folks participating. So this is an open-ended question. It should advance on your phone. You should be able to write. I think it limits your characters or your words a little bit, so you can't write a whole novel, but you can give us some ideas if you've got any additional comments on that vision statement or something you think maybe is missing. So I'll pause here and see if anybody has any additional comments they'd like to share. And so far, like I said, we're towards the end of our engagement round here, and the vision statement has tested very well. And we've been, folks, it resonates with folks for the most part, and so we are going to be working at the next meeting for the core advisory committee to have them look through all the public comments to see if there's anything that we've heard through the public process that, maybe we need to tweak something on the vision statement or clarify something a little bit more. So, okay, see no comments, I'm going to move on. You can also use the chat. Matt, I'm assuming you can see the chat, and if there's anything comes in the chat on the Zoom, feel free to, here's one. Should there be reference for safety? So that's a good question. And we do reference safety quite a bit in the goals, which I'm about to go through in a minute. Some of this sometimes is, the vision, it's at the very top, right? It sits above everything. It kind of organizes the aspirational statement. It's general. And sometimes it's hard to put everything in the vision statement that you really need to say, but the vision and the goals work together. And so I think I appreciate that comment so that I could explain that once you see the goals, I think you'll see how some of that's weaving in, but that's a good comment. Thank you for that. Okay, I'm going to move on through. We're going to go through each of the 8 goals and then collect some ideas at the end for strategies. So we are right now working. We've been working in domains because, like I said, that makes sure you're looking at the community in a holistic way. I'm going to go through each of these domains, and there's a goal for each one. The final plan may or may not be organized by domains. We may do some other kind of organization and then cross-reference the domains, because one thing I think you'll see is that while the domains help you as you're generating ideas and generating strategies and thinking through the plan, there's a lot of crossover, overlap and things. So as you start to, sometimes things don't neatly fall into a domain. And can get a little confusing, but we have developed goals around the domains because we feel like that really makes sure we're looking at the community in a broad way. So for the outdoor spaces and buildings domain, we've developed a draft goal statement that says Summit County is a place where everyone can access and navigate varied outdoor spaces and the built environment with clear signage and ample safety features. So I'll just pause there for a second if you want to reread it. One of the downfalls of this smartphone polling is that once I move to the question slide, it's hard to have the content up still. So I'll pause there just 1 second if you want to read it again, and then it'll be the same question. How does that resonate with you? Do you think that's a good goal for outdoor spaces and buildings? Okay, looks like we got about 7 chiming in. Oh, there's 8 chiming in on this one. Okay. And then again, if you have any additional comments on that outdoor spaces and buildings domain goal statement, or something you think needs to be captured, or if you have a question about a term or anything used in the statement, you can share that now. One thing that we've heard through both of the virtual workshops that we hosted, one at the beginning of the month and one we just did yesterday, was the use of built environment, that word in the goal statement. Some people question that wording. Maybe they're not sure exactly what it means. And I know it's definitely can be a little planning jargony. So we were going to try to think about how best to describe that. But here's a couple comments coming. This includes more than parks. Yes, that's true. Clarify if access includes transportation too. Yes, I think that's the idea, is that we want them to be accessible, whether that's just transportation or walking. But older adults need to be empowered and feel comfortable knowing that they've got, once they get to a outdoor space or a building, that they can access it, and it has safety features in place for them. So those are great comments. Thank you for that. Now we're on to transportation. Our draft goal statement reads, Summit County is a connected county providing affordable and accessible transportation options for a variety of occasions that are dependable, responsive, and safe for everyone. A robust mobility network is the key to unlocking access to all services and opportunities. And I think a couple of things about this goal statement that we worked really hard with the core advisory group on is this word occasions. You know, we really wanted the goal to be that it's more than just getting to medical appointments, right? Transportation is for social participation and connecting folks together. So we tried to find a word that kind of, and also this key to unlocking access, right? That if you've got a mobility network that's robust, again, it's more than just getting to the necessities, but it's getting to the things that people, social events and things like that as well. So I'm going to advance it. And again, how do you feel about that goal statement for transportation? Does that resonate with you? All right, great. And then again, just a pause here. If you've got any additional comments, questions, anything on that transportation domain goal statement, you can share them now. I guess I should say that when we talk about a goal statement, we are talking about an outcome expressed in simple terms. So again, the county may not be all the way there with these, but they're meant to be a goal, right? We're working towards them. They give us something to reach for, stretch for, and they were going to help organize the strategies, making sure that the strategies that we have, if you think of a strategic plan, the vision's at the top of the pyramid, then you've got your sort of goals, and then you've got your strategies at the bottom, and everything kind of has to roll up, right? So your strategies are reinforcing your goals are reinforcing your vision. So, really making sure that we're thinking through strategies that are going to meet our goals in the long term. Okay. Affordability is an issue. Yes. So that is one thing that we heard a lot about. We did a transportation focus group meeting as part of this, and we heard a lot about the grocery bus and some things that have gone away because of the pandemic in Summit County and the Akron area. And so, you know, what are ways we can get back to that? Because some of the options right now can be really pricey for folks, and they may need to limit how they access, and maybe only using transportation for medical appointments and things, not for social. If occasion was deleted, wouldn't it then be all inclusive? Okay, I have to think about that. Yeah, like not even saying occasions, but just talking about it in general. Curb to curb leaves out lots of people. Yeah, so one of the things that I know that there's some talking about in that transportation focus group was the last mile, first mile piece, and making sure that we're thinking about that, and the predictability of the system. People know when the bus is coming if they're using a mass transit piece. But there's a lot of other components to the transportation. I think mobility is sometimes a word that's, I know, used in planning, that's a little bit more of a contemporary word that really tries to get at things beyond the typical transportation, but walkability and having, you know, safe crossings and things like that. How much the transportation company assists with those disabilities. Okay, those are good thoughts. Thank you for those. Okay. And then our third goal statement area, the domain is around communication and information. And so we've got a goal statement that reads, Summit County communicates information effectively and thoroughly in a centralized and inclusive manner through a variety of meaningful and culturally relevant channels. And as we developed this, it was very important through the work of the committee that this culturally relevant, you know, aspect to it was there, because you've got to acknowledge that there's folks coming into the county in the area from different, you know, different backgrounds, different demographics. And we want to make sure that we're able to reach, you know, reach everybody. Okay, once again, how does this resonate with you? And communications is one of those domains that it's hard to keep it in its silo. It's so important and it's so cross-cutting. You really need to think about communication across, you know, all the domains. And so this is, you know, I think this is one of those areas where we're trying to think of a way to organize the final plan document that maybe isn't in the domain, so we can have some of these cross-cutting themes identified, because it is really important. Communication, you can, as I've said before, when working with the CAC, you can have all kinds of great programs and events and projects going on, but if nobody knows about them, they, you know, it's all for naught. So again, any additional comments on the communications or information domain goal statement you want to share, feel free to do that now. One of the things we learned as part of the needs assessment was that, you know, 25% of people do not have access to internet, reliable internet in their homes. And so I know a lot of things have had to, out of necessity through the pandemic, switch to virtual and online and things, but that leaves out a quarter of the population. And so we're really trying to think about the different formats and how people can get their communications, not just digitally, but, you know, through locations that they are frequenting or through something mailed to them, that kind of thing. Formats are important on technology. Yes, that's exactly, yeah, the digital divide is real. And so we need to continue thinking about that. I agree that those systematically marginalized must be considered here. Yep, that is embedded in that. So appreciate those comments. And then work and civic engagement domain. This one's really about, you know, being civically involved, volunteering, but also a lot of older adults want to work, you know, still either that they want to or they need to. So having a focus on that. So this goal statement reads, Summit County is a place where residents are actively engaged in civic life so that the older adult voice is heard, and where there are plentiful opportunities for people of all ages to work, volunteer, and to develop new skills through training and mentorship. And again, I think this is really, you know, this being engaged in general, but also this, you know, older adult voice is heard as a two-way, right? There are a lot of older adults who want to share their gifts, share their expertise, share their knowledge through a class or a lecture or something. And so having outlets for older adults to get involved and not only take classes, but maybe teach a class as well. So trying to think of it both ways. So this one, again, how does that resonate with you? And then we'll ask in a second about any additional comments. And again, anything else that you think we should include, or any questions or comments on that domain goal statement? This is also one we've heard through some of our public engagement so far, this, I think, idea that can be really strong in this domain about intergenerational opportunities. So young folks, or older folks mentoring younger folks learning from older folks who are maybe retired from an industry or business. And so I think that's something that we're working with. Intergenerational opportunities can be obviously like addressed throughout the plan. And that was a focus in the Columbus plan, was this idea about intergenerational opportunities and really focusing on that as sort of a theme. But this one lends itself nicely to it. And there's some nice strategies coming together around that. Mention transportation barriers. Okay, yeah, that's a good idea. We gotta make sure that people can get there, and making sure that we've got that addressed. Sometimes I think what's nice is when you, again, this is why I think it's hard to sometimes keep these in the domains, because there is a lot of crossover between them and things that are interrelated, like the transportation piece. But that's a good thought.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Sarah, but just to tie this to what we do too, is work is one thing, but civic engagement really can be what we do as well. It's the advocacy piece. It's making sure that you're engaging with your elected officials and being part of your community in a meaningful way. And so I wanted to make sure that you knew that Sarah and I and the others on the committee definitely have an eye towards what you do in this work as well. And so felt like that was important.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. That's a good clarification. Okay. If I move too fast, please feel free to use the chat. We'll collect all the input. So respect and social inclusion. Again, this sort of flipping the script on aging and trying to cast it in a more positive way, and just, trying to create avenues for more respect and social inclusion in the larger community. So this goal statement reads: Summit County is a community where everyone feels respected and included, a place where everyone feels like they belong. Intergenerational opportunities connect the county together and emphasizes achieving equitable outcomes for all residents. But there's a lot packed into that one. It's a pretty robust statement, but a lot of good thoughts, I think, coming together there. We've got the intergenerational piece spelled out. So I'll advance it and you can let me know how that one resonates with you. Yeah, and picking up on what Matt said, I mean, I think that the reason that communities are doing these age-friendly plans is it gives you a platform for advocacy, right? It gives you something formal, bringing everybody together, thinking about what needs to happen. And, some of the statistics that we've shared as part of which I know you all know, is that as a country, we're going older. And by, I think it's 2035, the number of folks that are over 65 is going to be more than the under 18. And so I appreciate the demographers calling our attention to these shifts so that we can plan now and not wait till we're there. So that's really, I think this proactive planning is a good piece. And quite honestly, what's good for an older adult is also good for a young mother pushing a baby carriage and people of different abilities. So it just makes all of our communities more livable. Okay, so any additional comments on the respect and social inclusion domain goal statement, you can provide them now. There's a lofty but ancient goal that has apparently eluded achievement. Yeah, I know, right? It's easier said than done. So I think a lot, like, I think some of this intergenerational idea also comes here into this, and getting younger folks to get to know older adults so they can break down perceptions. I think a lot of times when you don't maybe have older adults in your lives, it's easy not to really get to know anybody and think about that. Positive aging campaigns can only go so far. I think it has to be a little more personal. So I think a lot of all of the strategies and domain ideas working together kind of helps move the needle on this. Also includes empowerment, to be sure. Yeah, right. People need to feel empowered. But I think that this goal is one that's it's a hard one to quantify as well. Just to know if you're being successful. But we've got a couple strategies around positive aging campaigns and intergenerational ideas to try to get young folks and older folks to come together and kind of to understanding. So thanks for that. Community and health services. Again, this is what it sounds like, providing good health care, but also thinking about those other social services and wraparound services that are needed. So the goal statement reads, Summit County is a place with access to quality physical, mental, and other community services that are affordable, accessible, and effectively coordinated. A place where everyone can live a healthy life. So this one, again, we're trying to be broader than just we brought in the mental side of it. We're talking about coordination, which I think is key. There's a lot of things out there, but how can we be better coordinated? There was a comment yesterday that was interesting about this healthy life piece, that maybe it's about letting people live life to their fullest, knowing that not everybody's going to have a healthy life necessarily, but they can live their life to their fullest. So there's some interesting ideas on some of the subtle wording here that we may change that came out of yesterday's meeting that I thought was good to consider. So I'm going to advance it. You can let me know how that one resonates with you. And then just a minute, you can give me any other comments. We've got a few more domains here, and then I was going to open it up for any ideas before we wrap up here. All right. And again, any additional comments on the community and health services domain goal statement you'd like to share? Feel free to do that now. So here's an idea. Should wording be quality physical and mental health services? Yeah, adding that qualifier is not a bad idea, because it's one thing to just have access to services, but if they're not high quality, then that's not good. So yeah, that's a good suggestion. We'll have to think about that. That would be a good qualifier to add. This is why we do this testing, because every time we spend so much time looking at these, you can sometimes can't see before, what's that phrase? You can't see behind your nose or something. So this
forest for the trees.
There you go. Forest through the trees, Matt. Yeah. So it's nice that we get different people's perspectives and ideas, because sometimes a really, simple thing that is missing it can really make that goal statement so much more richer. So now we're on social participation. Again, this one's all about we know that there's been a lot of isolation in the last year and a half due to the pandemic, and it's even more important now to be able to come together for folks. So Summit County offers a wide variety of social events and activities for people of all ages and abilities. People feel welcomed and inspired to create, participate, and celebrate in their community. So again, we tried to kind of be broad, and knowing that the strategies underneath this one, you know, can spell it out a little more specifically, but just trying to bring people together in different ways. Okay, you can let me know how that one resonates with you. All right, and then any additional comments or questions on that goal statement, you can share those now, and I'll pause here a minute. I think this is another one where the intergenerational piece theme can kind of play in strongly. And also that idea about planning events, but also attending events, kind of that two-way, similar to the work and civic engagement piece about older adults wanting to help plan things and participate in things. Maybe community near social events and activities. Easily navigated communication of available opportunities is key here. Yeah, that's one thing we've talked about, is how do people find out about things, and how can we make sure that we're you know, broadcasting in the right channels. And I think this empowerment piece is important here too. Right? People may want to come out, they may want to get involved, but they may not feel, they're a little worried about what the venue will be like, or they might get tired, or they can't get there because of transportation. So again, all these things are threading in together to make this possible. Housing, we're in our final domain, our 8th domain. So housing obviously is a very important piece. We've talked a lot about it as far, well, it's a national planning issue right now for affordable housing, the type of housing, but specifically for older adults. You know, a lot, we heard, and this is a, what was it, 90% of folks, almost 90% of folks wanted to stay in their, you know, in their own homes as they age as part of the needs assessment. That's an amazing statistic. But there's still folks who would like to downsize, or maybe, you know, not be in their, you know, move to somewhere else that's a little more manageable for them, but stay in their community. So it's very important that our communities have housing choice. So this goal statement is about Summit County is a place where everyone has the choice to remain living in their home or has access to appropriate housing options within their community that are supported by an environment that is safe, accessible, affordable, and healthy. So this one, again, we're trying to set up the sort of two sides to this from a home housing standpoint, but then also this environment piece is really about the neighborhoods by which support those housing. So making sure that people can access goods and services nearby, that they have affordable and healthy places to live. So again, go ahead and let me know how that goal statement resonates with you. All right, and any additional comments on the housing domain goal statement would be helpful for us to know. Go ahead and share them now. And while folks are thinking about that, we do have on the agefriendlysummit.com website, we do have an online survey. It has the same vision and goal questions, but there are some test strategies and some questions that we're asking folks. We're sort of testing out some ideas from our draft. We're calling an action agenda, which are really like the recommendations and the specific programs, policies, and projects that will be contained in the plan. And we're not going to go through all of those today. But if you're interested, you know, you can go to the website and you can fill out that survey. You can skip the first part if you want and just go to the strategies piece. But yeah, we are working on specific strategies that really are trying to support these goals in these domain areas right now. and testing those with the public. Okay, in the interest of time, I'm going to move on here. We got one last question about, thinking big. So, and again, I know that you're all not just from Summit County, so we're on this a little bit, but what does the region need to do to become more age friendly? How can we empower older adults in our communities to live, age, and thrive? And this empower word really, Matt's the one who sort of got me thinking about this empower word right in the very beginning when we were talking about the vision and talking about what this plan really needs to do. And I've really thought that was a good way to talk about it, because again, you can have all the great programs and things going on, but if people don't feel empowered, it's all for naught. And so, that empowerment piece is really important. So this is another open-ended one. If you've got an idea or something you're working on in your community, feel free to share it here, because we're in that strategy development phase here, and we're just trying to tap into the wisdom of the crowd and putting together these recommendations to make the county more age friendly. So feel free to share any ideas here about what we can do to make the county more age friendly.
And when Sarah and I were talking about setting this up for the area-wide council, I said, I feel like we need to have some part where we step back and say, this is your blue sky moment, right? Mm-hmm. Like this is your, if you could, my favorite facilitator trick to get questions flowing or to get ideas flowing is to say, if you could wave a magic wand and change one thing, what would that one thing be and why? And so like, if you could, those of you old enough to remember I Dream of Jeannie or Bewitched, if you could, wiggle your nose and change one thing in your community that would make it more age friendly, what would it be and why? Would be another way to kind of maybe even just start thinking about this.
Yep, that's good, Matt. Thank you. Yeah, there's no constraints on this brainstorm. I know that eventually we've got to get real about who's going to do this and the funding and all that, but that's not the time to worry about now. If you worry about that from the beginning, you'll never stretch, right? You'll never go where you are. So we really encourage when we work on comprehensive plans, strategic plans across the country in different communities, different types of plans. And we always try to start out with a, generative kind of brainstorm without any kind of parameters, because that's important to put the layer of realism on there at some point. But you got to start thinking big, as Matt said, and not let things hinder you. Dream a little bit, think big, wave your magic wand so that you can stretch a little bit. And I always say, if there's a will, there's a way. And so a lot of times through planning process and through implementation plans, we can figure it out. Some of the strategies that we've got in the plan right now that we've been testing with the public is about an age-friendly, what's the word? Approval, seal of approval program. So businesses, service providers, transportation, they can, go through a checklist, evaluating them on how age-friendly they are. And then that also empowers or gives older adults some comfort when they know if they're going into a particular venue or event or building that they'll be age friendly. So here's an idea: a strong marketing campaign that emphasizes the strength and potential of senior community members may start to shift priorities and build access to participation. That's a great idea. Trying to kind of maybe focus on some folks doing good things in the community. We'd like to see more collaboration between organizations in the same county and across all 4 counties. Yeah, it sounds like there's some other communities coming into the age-friendly world there, Matt. You mentioned some earlier. So, and of course, you don't have to enter officially into there's some nice resources and support if you enter into some construct, if you enter into the age-friendly community ARP world, but you can also think about age-friendliness and, you're all doing that every day anyway. But yeah, we do have a couple strategies about collaboration, because I think we have a client here in Columbus that we're working with. Their motto is "Go nowhere alone." It's all about partnerships these days. and trying to find those synergies, because there's not enough capacity, people, money to do for everybody to be doing everything siloed, right? We're going to need to kind of pool resources and think differently about things. And so I think we're in that kind of age of that. So that's a great one. Thank you for that. Okay, well, I'm going to leave this up. So if you're still, you can still contribute ideas. I'm going to leave it open. I am going to stop sharing here and turn it back over to Matt. But I really appreciate your input today and letting us test some stuff out with you, some of our thoughts about this planning process. And we are on track to wrap this up, I think, by end of the year. So I'm sure you'll see some more come out from Matt in Summit County when we get this effort wrapped up and move into implementation. So thank you all for having me.
Thank you so much, Sarah. And I'm sorry we didn't get to do this in person for you to experience the joy that is Hartville Kitchen on a Friday afternoon. The pie alone is worth the drive from Columbus. But yes, so this was, I really appreciate your time. The testing is so important. And every time I start to see the numbers come in, I hold my breath. And I don't know, Sarah, if you do the same thing, but I'm like, what if we get all no's? Yeah. We've been testing this for a while now. And so I worry about stumbling into the one meeting and people are like, what are you thinking?
Thinking? So off base. Yeah. No.
But wow, what a way to kind of get a lot of information in front of this group in a short amount of time. You probably can see from the way that these statements are constructed, but a lot of time, attention, and purposeful wording has gone into the creation of these because they're important. Words matter, and guiding statements like this really matter. And so if you don't get where you want to go right, you're not going to end up there. And so as the master of bad analogies, I always say things like, if you're going to Marietta, Ohio, and you put Marietta, Tennessee in your GPS, you're not going to end up where you're supposed to be. And so you have to get that statement right, or else you're not going to end up where you want to be. And so I really appreciate your time and attention today on these statements and on kind of the blue sky thinking. And I hope that you use this as an opportunity to keep those juices flowing. I start to get really excited about this stuff, and I start to kind of come up with these ideas. And another thing, and so if you're anything like me and that happens, jot them down, email them to Courtney and I. We'll collect these. This is not, while Sarah's work and the work that was reflected today is targeted in the Summit County space, Summit County is not anathema in the larger context. Summit County is not an island where this is how it's done here and everywhere else is not. And so what I mean by that is what we have put together in Summit, I think, could be a very great proof of concept for the other 3 counties. And what we find in Summit County would be a really great place to start in other counties. And so the work that you have seen today and the comments and feedback that you've provided us today are really beneficial, not just for the Summit work, but for additional work that your area agency is going to move forward in all 4 of our counties. I'm a firm believer in leave no county behind. And so I really, really, really want to see these initiatives take root and grow in all of our areas. I believe in the process. I believe in the work. I believe that without people giving a darn in these things, nothing will ever change. And I feel like we're the group to do it. I feel like, we've got tremendous momentum in Summit County, and I feel like we can parlay that into the other counties as well. And so I really appreciate all your time and attention. Sarah, again, I'm consistently in awe of how you can take the most complex things, boil them down, and make them so even I can understand them because there's a lot that goes into this.
There's a lot.
And I have to ask, it's policies, programs, and
projects is how
projects.
That's kind of our methodology at Planning Next, as we describe there's different terms, right? A recommendation, an initiative, a strategy. We like to use the term action because it's action oriented, and we don't want our plans to sit on the shelf. We want things to happen in communities when we leave. And sadly, we do have to leave at some point. Our term ends, but we always keep an eye on our clients and our plans because, again, we want to see things happening in communities. So we define an action as a program, policy, or project. We also write our plans in a way where we lead with a verb on those statements, so that and think about a way in which you can tell you've made progress. Like you've built a new senior center, or you have developed a marketing campaign. You can know whether you did that or not. Because sometimes I think, I love planning, but I think an honest criticism is a lot of times it's full of platitudes, nice things. And you're like, oh, that's nice. But how could you ever actually achieve it? Or there's not specific steps, underneath it. And so I think we try to be as specific as we can, so that, again, we're setting up our communities when we leave to implement something. And they know the roadmap, they know the way to go forward. The playbook, as I think Matt's called it. So that's really important, because, again, our reputation isn't set on just the pretty document, whatever comes out of it in nice words. The words, like Matt said, the words are important, but they have to instigate that action and that implementation and set up communities to be taking that on their own and sort of moving forward. And I think Matt's right. This is a movement right now. There's a momentum here, a lot of different communities coming together. None of the stuff's necessarily proprietary. Obviously, we've developed this with Summit County needs assessment in mind, but there's a lot of strategies that can be borrowed and taken and used in other communities. And I think that's the point of it. ARP really wants this to be a resource. And there is a movement right now. I don't know if it got slowed down a little bit because of COVID. I'm trying to check back in on it, but to actually designate the state of Ohio as an age-friendly state. Katie White, who's directing the Columbus Age-Friendly Initiative, and who we worked with on that plan. She's heavily involved in that. And I've been trying to get in touch with her to find out what the status of that is and what that really means. But I think, again, that's another layer of resources and framework that all communities, no matter, at the county level, at the city level, at the township level, at the village level, can work on together, because really the rising tide lifts all boats. So.
Because I am a complete and utter ham, I've put one of my favorite quotes about this into the chat about never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has. I really believe that. I want to give one more plug before I end for the day, and that is, I know that several of my friends who are in the business of helping are on the call. If you are an agency in need of any sort of planning assistance or any sort of facilitation assistance, I can't speak highly enough of Sarah and her organization, Planning Next. If you ever need any sort of help or assistance in that area, please let me know. I can get you connected with them. You will not be sorry. They like I said, they're the masters at taking these complex sort of things and then breaking it down to where I feel like even I can do it. So it's awesome. Is there any other comments, questions, suggestions, or anything that folks want to cover or discuss today? All right. Well, then I think I will shush up, and Lori or Dan, I think we'll take whoever can get off mute first. If either of you wouldn't mind calling the meeting to a close officially, then I think we'll be all set for today. Courtney and I will be in touch with a multitude of different handouts and things between now and our next meeting in January. So don't worry, we won't have to say Happy New Year just yet. There will be other kind of opportunities for discussion.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.
Thank you, Dan.